Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and before I get into today's What I Eat in a Day video, I just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of you for liking and commenting on my videos. Many of you have said that these What I Eat in a Day videos have motivated you and inspired you, and I just wanted to let you all know that your comments also inspire me. When I started my channel, I wanted to show that a whole food plant-based lifestyle can be simple and sustainable. And the best way you can help me to spread that message to more people is to continue hitting the thumbs up and commenting on my videos. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you sharing your stories in the comments, and I also love taking your suggestions. For example, in today's video, I'm going to plug everything that I eat into Cronometer. This was a suggestion from one of you to see the nutrition breakdown of my food. So stick around towards the end of the video for that, and without further ado, let me show you what I've been up to today. This is the part where I usually tell you that I start every day with yoga, but I have to be honest, I haven't been very consistent with this recently. About a month or so ago, I think I had a cold or something. I was just feeling a little off. So I took it easy for a few days, but by the time I felt better, then I started having pain in my shoulder and my elbow, which I think is a computer overuse injury from working. Anyway, long story short, all of those things together meant I was neglecting my yoga practice. So like I said at the beginning, you all helped to motivate me and keep me on track. So today for this video, I did do some yoga, and I'm going to try to be more consistent with it again. Then it was time for my usual breakfast, a smoothie and oatmeal. I'm using one entire 5-ounce container of arugula. Usually I get the larger 16-ounce containers because they're more economical, but they don't have arugula in the large containers. I love an arugula smoothie though, so when they're on sale like this one was, I can't resist. Which is really funny because I used to hate that peppery taste of arugula, which can be quite strong. But now I love it. It's amazing how much your taste buds change the longer you stay away from processed junk and eat more whole foods. My favorite combos for an arugula smoothie are banana and pineapple or banana and mango. Today I'm going with banana and mango. Sometimes I like to use fresh ginger in my smoothies, but today I'm just going with ground ginger, along with a little bit of turmeric, just a pinch of black pepper, and some amla powder. I add about 2 cups of water and then blend it. Then I have the same blueberry oatmeal that I eat every morning. I have a whole video showing how I make this, so I won't go over it again here. But I think this is one of the best tips for keeping up with a whole food plant-based diet. And that is to eat the same breakfast every day. It doesn't have to be oatmeal. I feel like people either love it or hate it. And that's okay. If you don't love oatmeal like I do, you could batch cook tofu scramble on sheet pans and have that every morning. Or you could do like Chef AJ does and have vegetables for breakfast. A lot of people just do a smoothie for breakfast, or even just eat leftovers of last night's dinner. Find out what works for you and stick with it. Having the same breakfast every day makes the mornings go a lot more smoothly. We make so many decisions in a day, it's really nice to be able to eat breakfast without having to think about it too much. And after breakfast, I'm ready for my work day. Right now, I just make these videos on the side, but I work a full-time job, and I'm so thankful to be able to work from home. Sometimes I can't believe that I used to go into an office every day. I know it's not for everyone, but I absolutely love working from home. I don't have to deal with traffic, I save time because I don't have a commute, and I get a lot more work done. I'm very introverted, so I work better when I'm not surrounded by other people. So after a few hours of work, I'll take a break to grab my lunch. Today I'm making a sushi bowl using some leftover brown rice. I'm going to mix a little rice vinegar in with it. Traditionally, I believe sushi rice also has sugar and salt added to it, but I'm just using vinegar. Along with that, I have some sweet potato that I roasted the other day, some shredded purple cabbage, cucumber, bell pepper, a little bit of avocado, and some edamame. Normally I wouldn't be so particular about how it looks, but today I'm trying to make it pretty for the video. Then I'm going to make a quick sauce out of a little bit of this SOS-free sriracha, then some tamari and more rice vinegar. I'm also adding a little splash of water, and I'll mix that up and pour it all over. Then I'm cutting up some nori sheets on top of that. This is a great way to get that sushi flavor without having to actually make sushi. Last but not least, I'm grating a little bit of fresh ginger all over the top. And that's my beautiful sushi bowl. Again, I normally wouldn't make my food this pretty. Normally I just dump everything together instead of making it in sections. That way I get a little bit of everything with each bite. I also like to tear the nori into little pieces, to spoon a little bit of everything on there to make little mini sushi bites. After lunch, I got back to work for a while, and in the afternoon I had a little snack. This is an opal apple, one of the few varieties that doesn't oxidize very much when you cut it open. When I used to work in the office and I took my lunch with me every day, I would slice one of these apples in the morning, and by lunchtime it still had not turned brown. It's a nice crisp apple with a sweet and tangy taste. And then after I finished working, I got my dinner ready. I try to always keep cooked potatoes in the fridge. Here I have some Yukon Gold potatoes that I'm cutting into wedges, and I'll cook these in my toaster oven to make some oil-free French fries. Along with that, I'm having some steamed broccoli and a few black beans that I had left over in the fridge. And then here I have my vegan rotel dip. I'll include a link for that recipe video in case you want to check it out. I'm going to warm up a little bit of this and pour it all over everything. And this is why I love a whole food plant-based lifestyle. Since most of the food I eat is low calorie density, I can eat giant plates of food like this without having to count my calories. I explained calorie density in a little more detail in my recent Why I Don't Eat Oil video. I'll include a link for that in case you want to check it out. But speaking of calories, if you're curious how many calories I generally eat, I've plugged this all into Cronometer. I don't do this regularly, but occasionally I'll put my food in just to see where I'm at. And I would say this day of eating came out pretty typical for me. I'll briefly go over this, and then after that I'm going to end my day with an aerial workout. So Cronometer is a website and an app where you can log your food and activities. I've already plugged everything in here so you don't have to sit and watch me add everything. At the top you see breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then below that is a breakdown of macronutrients as well as an estimate for how many calories you burn in a day. This is based on your size, activity level, and maybe a few other things. I set this up when I first made my account years ago, so I'm not sure if it's still accurate. I'm pretty sure I burn more calories than this, but I usually ignore that part anyway. So this first pie chart here shows that I had about 2,200 calories today. And if you hover over this, it shows the breakdown of your macronutrients. Again, this is pretty typical for me. Usually about 70 to 75% carbohydrates and close to 10 to 15% each of protein and fat. And then down at the bottom is another breakdown of the macronutrients on the left and all of the micronutrients on the right. The red bars mean you got too much of something. So the reason it's showing I had too many carbs, fat, and protein is because I went over the total number of calories that it was recommending for me. But like I said, I haven't updated my activity level in a while, so it's not accurate. You can pause the video if you want to see everything in detail, but I'll highlight just a few things. I got 91.9 grams of fiber. The majority of Americans don't get even the minimum recommended amount of 25 grams for women or 38 grams for men. So as you can see, it's easy on a whole food plant-based diet to get plenty of fiber. It's also easy to get more protein than you need. My personal protein needs are 40 to 45 grams a day, and I got 76.4 grams of protein today. Moving over to the vitamins and minerals, I got over 100% of almost everything. B12 and vitamin D are showing 0, but I supplement both of those. So if you include the supplement, then those are adequate as well. I didn't hit the calcium target of 1,000 milligrams per day, which is the US recommendation. However, some other countries have lower recommendations. I think it's 700 or 800 in the UK, so I'm happy with the amount I got here. And finally, selenium is showing up low, but I eat a few Brazil nuts a week, and they're known to be higher in selenium, so I'm not too worried about that one either. Otherwise, I got plenty of all of the other micronutrients. So that's my nutritional breakdown for today, and I'm pretty pleased with that. If you're ever concerned about your own nutrition, Cronometer and other tracking apps can be a great tool to spot check yourself. I don't think it's necessary to track every day, but it can be useful, especially if you have concerned family and friends. You can assure them that you're getting all the nutrition you need. After allowing my dinner to digest, I decided to do an aerial workout. This is another activity that I keep wanting to do consistently, but I've been neglecting it. I think the last time I did any aerial was probably the last time I mentioned it in one of these videos, which I think was a couple months ago. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm nursing an injured shoulder and elbow, so I'm going to take it easy. But I wanted to do this today in honor of my friend Paul. He passed away recently, and it was pretty hard on me. Back when I used to teach aerial, he was one of my students, but he also became a dear friend and mentor. He was just as much of a nutrition nerd as I am, and I often went to him for advice. Paul supported me during one of the most challenging times of my life. Before I was vegan, when I was dealing with crippling work stress and ulcerative colitis, I was trying to find ways to control it with lifestyle, and he was one of my go-to resources. He wasn't 100% plant-based, but he knew the importance of a predominantly plant-based diet, and he helped me move in that direction at a time when I had never even heard the term. Without him, I may never have started on the path to a plant-based diet, and getting on this path was one of the best decisions of my life. He was such a kind and caring person, always checking in and remembering little details that most people overlook. I miss him terribly, and I hope one day we can do Ariel together again. Thanks for everything, Paul. This one's for you.